This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them.
This is Massive Late Fee with Mike and Mark.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always is my co-host Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Good. I've been doing good. And, you know, one of the reasons that I've been doing good and that all the guys here at Big Heads Media have been doing good is because now we can confidently say this to our significant others.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
And the reason the reason for that is because of Manscaped. So Mike, I know you got your Manscaped products. I got my Manscaped products. Let me tell you, fellas, listen up. Untrimmed pubes are a thing of the past. You know, I don't know if any of you have ever seen a Playboy from 1976, but.
Or Demi Moore.
Yeah, it gets really scary. We did talk about Demi Moore before, and that giant bush. She could use a Manscaped lawnmower 2.0.
Or maybe a couple of daisy cutter mines
Yeah, no kidding.
to rip through that bush.
But this holiday season, you want to get yourself. Or if you're a gay man, maybe for your lover a Perfect Package 2.0. So the Perfect Package 2.0, that's the thing that Mike and I both got, and I'll tell you what it comes with. All right, you get.
First of all, I want to say I was really impressed by the quality of the stuff I got. The bag it comes in.
Absolutely.
Even the bag alone would be worth the cost of entry. It's a really nice, kind of. I don't know if it's actual leather or like a leathery substance, like Joan Rivers' skin, but it's very nice. It contains everything. You can use it as like a shaving bag, like a dop bag as they call it. You just put your toiletries in there and grab. You don't have to even put the groomer in there, but it fits perfectly. Yeah.
The bag is really nice, and it makes my bag really nice. So you get this carry bag. I believe they call it the Shed. You get the lawnmower 2.0 for your junk. You get that's the electrical trimmer. You get some deodorant type lotion for your groin, and you get a little spritzer, a little pick me up for your bush there, I guess. Now,
pick me up for your pouch.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pouch pick me up. Now it says here to not read this part to you guys, but it also says host. Talk about a time when he's hurt his balls while manscaping, or a funny manscaping story. Now, unfortunately, here's where I fall down, because like Demi Moore, pre 1994, I never shaved down there at all until I got the Manscaped products, and now I can say with confidence,
how would you like to suck my balls?
Because they are smooth, and I mean this. In total honesty, I feel a lot better now, having groomed myself in that area and having the deodorant down there. I mean, guys, we know our groins are situated in an area that's sweaty and messy and terrible.
Swampy.
Exactly. Anyone that's sat outside in August in Michigan knows, how bad things can get. Taking care of yourself down there, it makes a huge difference that I didn't even realize. So, Manscaped is a completely revolutionary company. They have totally redesigned their trimmer, the Lawnmower 2.0, which we got in our package. It has a proprietary skin-safe technology. I'll tell you what, I'm not great at shaving necessarily, and I've nicked my face before, so it can be a little dicey down there. But
Yeah, I'm not saying the other competing products will rip your sack off, but I know for sure that Man Groomer will not.
exactly. This I use this thing, no guard or anything like that, completely fine. You don't want to use the same thing that you're using on your face on your balls. That's horrible. You don't want that kind of cross contamination, even if you don't have crabs.
Even if you already have a pubic kind of beard, you still don't want to do the same thing for both.
No, yeah. Even if you're like Guy Ritchie in Memento and you got those yellowy pubes on your face, even then you don't want to cross contaminate.
Guy Pearce, not Guy Ritchie.
Oh yeah, that's Guy Ritchie is the horrible director.
I thought a couple of things. I like Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah, that's true. Those are both good. He's made that Pan movie, didn't he?
Pan?
Yeah, didn't he make Pan? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Are you saying Pam or Pan?
Pan, like Peter Pan.
Pam?
Yeah,
I
like
don't
Pam
think I don't think he made that. I don't think he made that. I know he made the Robin Hood remake, which I heard wasn't very good.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think that's probably what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, with that guy from the Elton John movie.
Right,
and
Edgerton,
the
yeah.
Kingsman. Yeah, Taron Egerton or something like that.
Yeah. You know what he wishes he made though, Guy Ritchie. He wishes he made the Lawnmower 2.0 because that product is excellent. It is the top of the line. So now here's the thing. If you want to get your own Perfect Package 2.0, you need to go to manscaped.com, use our promo code, which is massive, and you get 20% off and free shipping. Guys, you need to do this today. Your balls will thank you, even though they can't because they're not real. I mean, well, they're real, but they're not. They don't have
The holidays are coming up soon, ladies. This would be a great gift for your significant other.
Absolutely.
I assume women could use it too. I don't know. It doesn't say woman groomer.
I would imagine that I will. Yeah,
I would
imagine
it's easier. They
that
got
you
less
could,
stuff
though.
sticking out to
Yeah.
Unless there's like some kind of roast beef sandwich situation going on.
Oh.
If you look down there and think of Arby's, then maybe you might be more cautious.
Oh God. Yeah, but you might have other problems anyway if that's what's going on with you.
Yeah, you might have some problems.
But now on with the show, Mike. This week I don't have much in the way of news, but I would be remiss if I did not bring up a couple things. First of all, Disney Plus apparently is allowing people. I got Disney Plus. I don't think we had a show before I got Disney Plus. No, I don't think so.
No, I think it might have been the same day you got it. No, because I think it came out on the 14th, maybe.
I think it was the 12th, November 12th.
Oh, then we recorded that on a Tuesday because the 14th was a Thursday. I know.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think you were messaging me about Disney Plus that day about the Mandalorian. I think.
Yeah. That's what I watched this week was the Mandalorian. But yeah. So I got Disney Plus. It's pretty good. I mean, if you're a fan of things that soulless corporate entity Disney does, then you're gonna enjoy it. So the news that we have is that Disney Plus, there's the subscribers can now request things they want to see. What's left? What have they not put on?
I know some people are really trying hard to get the Song of the South on there, including a Whoopi. That's actually a story from this week, including Whoopi Goldberg. She said they should just put it out there, so let people see, because it is an illustration of how things used to be that most, like younger people probably have no concept of. Younger people will see like a white person with like a dreadlocks and think it's like the worst thing they've ever seen. They really have been very much sheltered from like the horrific past, much like the Germans in the 50s against like the atrocities of the Nazi regime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't.
Who were probably helped by Disney. I think didn't Disney help the Nazis, or is that Ford I'm thinking of?
No, it's both.
I mean, I know Walt Disney was a virulent anti-Semite, so I guess he probably was on their side.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem if they put Song of the South on there. I don't necessarily want to see it. I've seen it before. In addition to, it being racist, it's just also not a good movie. I mean, most of the movies from that era are not great anyway.
However, the one thing I would like to point out about the Song of the South is it's the only depiction that I'm aware of like the like all the folk tales, like Brer Rabbit and Brer Bear.
Right.
There's no other depiction of those things, and that's like an important part of like history.
Oh yeah,
that's like
agreed.
People from African countries or the Caribbean countries or slaves here had these traditional like oral traditions that were actually in the Song of the South. I mean, I don't remember it that well. I don't remember it being overtly racist, but I don't remember is Uncle Remus a slave or not. I honestly can't remember it that well.
He's not a slave. He's like telling the story. I don't. His part of it is not. I don't. From my memory, his part of it's not the part that's really like would be problematic today. I think it's more of some of the other parts of it, and probably that the dialectic things
Sure.
they use like Amos and Andy and stuff like that.
Sure.
The reasons that would be like problematic today, I think is the same thing. But I mean I tend to agree with you. Like I'm not huge on censorship. When it, like, for instance, the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, there are so many times that people want to ban that book or remove the N-word from that book, and that upsets me when people want to do that, not because of my incredible love for the N-word, but because of, I mean, that helps, but because also of the fact that Mark Twain, writers write what is true. I mean, that's writers try to write the truth as they see it, in their fiction. And Mark Twain, said, hey, during this time period, in this situation, this word would be used. Therefore, we're going to use it.
I believe that was actually the president when he wrote that too. I mean, Mark Twain is I think he's notorious. I mean, he actually has quite a bit of accuracy. Like I think when he wrote, there's one short story. I think it's about like the Mississippi River, like being like a boat pilot on it. He actually trained as a pilot himself, and it was like a really arduous process. Like much like the current, how in London these cabs have to like memorize every single route and like every single road. It's called like the knowledge, I think. Mm-hmm. Much like that, and during that time, navigating the Mississippi and all these little bits of shallow patches and these parts where branches would stick out underwater and stuff, it was a very difficult thing to do. So he was like a really well researched, quite studious person, in spite of like the public image of like this guy who's dressed like Colonel Sanders with like Albert Einstein's hair.
Right. Yeah, they get that from what is his name? Hal Holbrook, who portrayed Mark Twain very famously in a play, and that's where they get that image of him from. And I mean it's partially based on kind of what he looked like in certain portraits sometimes, but yeah, it's certainly not a wholly accurate representation of the man.
Yeah, I think at the time too, Mark Twain was actually one of the most popular public speakers, which at the time was quite the thing since stand-up comedy had not yet been invented.
Exactly, yeah.
He was quite the raconteur.
But the other story that I have this week involves somebody else that maybe should attempt stand-up comedy. That might be interesting. Nicolas Cage is going to star in a movie where he plays Nicolas Cage, where he wants to work with Quentin Tarantino. So this movie is called where is it? It's called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And it's going to follow Nicolas Cage with the frantic goal to be in Quentin Tarantino's next movie. He's faced with a mountain of debt, a troubled relationship with his teen daughter, and apparently he's going to talk to an egotistical 90s version of himself who tears him down for recent dumb movie choices. It sounds absolutely insane. Now, here's the thing. It gets worse, though, because, I mean, I might find it interesting if Nicolas Cage did a movie where he plays himself and he really wants to work with Quentin Tarantino, and almost kind of like the movie adaptation that he's in, that I actually really like him in that movie, too, in both roles that he plays.
That's a really good movie. I mean, you think of like Nicolas Cage's character, but he really can act, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And I'd be really interested in this movie if it followed that, but I have a feeling that the writers are going to mess this up, because the next part of the synopsis says, since the fictional Nicolas Cage becomes buried in debt, he resorts to make an appearance at the birthday party of a Mexican billionaire who is a massive fan of his. After the pair bond, the CIA pulled Cage aside to inform him that the billionaire is really the kingpin of a drug cartel and has kidnapped the daughter of a Mexican presidential nominee as well. The Con Air actor is then recruited by the U.S. government to take him down. I mean, that seems like it's going to veer into an area that I'm not going to really care that much about. But
yeah, I don't know. It's not something I'm interested in.
But here's the real question that this raises. Would you like to see Nicolas Cage in a Quentin Tarantino movie?
I don't think that would be a bad thing, to be honest with you. I mean, look at John Travolta. He was like doing Look Who's Talking Now, like the fucking Talking Dogs.
Yeah.
When Quentin Tarantino cast him in Pulp Fiction. So I mean,
because I can't believe
he's not a bad actor. I mean, he just seems like
good.
choose like the most lucrative scripts available. Like it's like if this movie will pay him a good amount of money, he'll do it regardless of what it is. I mean, he did the first movie I saw that was really bad with him was Snake Eyes. Do you remember that? I think we saw it together. Him and Gary Sinise are both in it. They're both good actors, but it's just not a good movie.
Oh, it's horrible. I saw that in the theater. Terrible.
Yeah, I think we both saw it at the Dollar Show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is I can't believe that I never thought of this before, but now all I want to see is Nicolas Cage in a Quentin Tarantino movie. Because I think Tarantino would do wonders with Cage, because as you pointed out, whether you're talking about Moonstruck or even
Raising Arizona.
Yeah, Raising Arizona, or some of these movies.
Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas is probably the quintessential one, but he's a fantastic actor. He's really good.
You know what I find realistic about Leaving in Las Vegas? Like whenever you see him drinking, he's drinking something different.
Yes.
Like I think if an alcoholic was at that point where he's just literally going to drink himself to death, he's not like, "Oh, I'm going to have a martini tonight, and then I'm going to have a cranberry spritz."
Right.
He would just like be at the end stage where he's just like hardcore drinking, like like a whiskey or vodka or gin, like straight out of a bottle.
Yeah, whatever his preference is, exactly.
He's a little too charming of a drunk in that movie, I think, is my problem.
Yeah. But yeah, Travolta's got other problems. But
the man can't find a good masseuse. He'll shut his fucking mouth.
No kidding.
Or open it, I guess.
I'll tell you what, though. From what I heard from that masseuse was that Travolta was real smooth down there, so I think he's used Manscaped. But anyway, so Nicolas Cage's biggest problem is, like as you pointed out, is that he'll take basically anything. I mean, I understand he wants a paycheck and everything. Dinosaur eggs aren't going to buy themselves.
Yeah, he has to have the complete first issue of Superman.
Right.
And like 5 houses or more in a castle somewhere.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I get it.
So that's why you have to do National Treasure 2.
Right. Or the second Ghost
the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh yeah, the Sorcerer's Apprentice was bad.
Or Kick-Ass. I didn't see that.
Actually, I heard Kick-Ass is pretty good. I think
there's a sequel to that too.
I actually like the first Ghost Rider movie, which I can't believe I'm saying, but I actually like that first one. The second one I hear is very bad, though.
Yeah, go figure. I didn't see either of them.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised.
Ghost Rider was like a dumb superhero. Like, oh, I'm a ghost. I'm a skeleton with a flaming head, and I ride a motorcycle. What the hell?
So that's all I've got for the news. I was interested though because this BuzzFeed clickbait thing came up, And I was like, I wonder what this is. And this says, this trivia test will separate the Canadians from the Americans. This quiz might be a little psychic. I don't understand how that makes it psychic, but let's see if we can make it think that we're Canadian. The first question is, how much is this bill worth? And it's a bill that says Canada on it, and it looks like it's got some sort of bird, maybe like a blue jay, but it's got a bunch of spikes on its head.
$5.
All right, that is correct. See, that's the thing. In Michigan, it's gonna be easier for us.
Well, I just know what a $1 looks like. I mean, I know they're the loony. I just assumed it was a 5. That was a guess.
What are these called? And this is gonna be horrible because they're all pictures. This is great theater of their mind here. It's a red folder. It's basically a paper in a binder, but one of those special binders that I've used the word binder 3 times, and that's one of the things on here. Dutangs, carriers, notebook, or binder. It's got to be a binder, right?
I'm gonna guess Dutang.
Oh, is that what it is?
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Who is this? It looks like a Raggedy Ann doll, but she's got black hair and a red nose. Could be Jenny, Cassie, Claire, or Molly.
Let's try Molly.
So this is basically just, yes, you're right. Jesus Christ, you're good at this. Who is this? It's some dude running. He's got a shirt on that says Marathon of Hope, I think.
Is it Justin Trudeau?
No. He looks... It's a black and white photo, so it's like from the 70s. He looks a little bit like a very young Kurt Russell, and it says Rick Hansen, Bobby Orr. It's definitely not Bobby Orr. Terry Fox or Tom Longboat. I believe it's Terry Fox.
Yeah, let's go with that.
It is. He was like a famous runner. What's the name of this dessert? It's chocolates on top. It looks like custard in the middle, maybe. Basically, it looks like a brownie with like a little custard in the middle of it, maybe some nuts.
Canadian jizz sandwich.
Yeah, it's got mayonnaise in it.
Well, of course it does.
Hello Dolly, Beaver Bar,
It's a beaver.
Nanamio Bar, and Kinder Square. I've heard of Nanamo bars, but let's
Try that if you want. I think it's a beaver bar though.
No, it's a Nanamio bar. What is this card? And then I don't understand any of it. Because it's like because the number has to be blurred out. Most of this is just blurred, so it just looks like it's white with and it's a very beat up card too. Like it looks like an old license plate, but it's got a red stripe down it, and it just says Metro card, student card, health card, credit card. I'm guessing it's
Health card.
Yeah, that's my guess. Yes, it's a health card. We were right. So far, we've gotten all these. What is the name of this game? It looks like a very old computer game where it says choose a puzzle, and then there's like a seal, a cannon, something that says ticket. I mean, I don't know. It's Carnival Games, Schlozar Bazaar, Math Circus, or Fraction Festival.
Math Circus?
That was my guess too, and we're right. What coffee chain used to have this logo, and it's like a steaming cup of coffee in a brown circle? And it could be Van Hout, Second Cup, Tim Hortons, or Coffee Time.
Is it Tim Hortons? Can you tell from looking at it?
Oh, no, it's not Tim Hortons. It's Second Cup, which I never would have known. But
yeah, that was my guess. We got that one wrong, I think.
Yeah, first one wrong.
Damn it!
What is this room called? And it's a picture of a bathroom. So, washroom, bathroom, restroom, or loo?
It's washroom or loo. I think it's loo. I think I've heard Canadians say the loo. I know it's a British thing too, but I could have sworn I heard like Eugene Levy say it.
Oh, it's washroom.
That was my other guess. Damn it!
Oh God, this is horrible. What show did this guy host? Oh my God. So it's some dude. It looks like a Canadian version of Double Dare. He's got the highest hair I've ever seen outside of a Kid and Play video, and his eyes are just bugging out of his head. It's Mad Dash, Uh-oh, Quiz Kids, or Are You Afraid of the Dark? It's definitely not Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I think it's either Mad Dash or Quiz Kids. Those are my guesses. Do you want to pick one from the two?
Yeah, we'll go with, it's Mad Dash. Good job. What is this sauce called? It looks like...
Is it poutine?
No, it's like, there's 3 little cups, almost like where you'd get soy sauce, but it's a very, like, reddish brown liquid, and it says gravy sauce, chalet sauce, St. Hubert sauce, or red gravy sauce.
Let's try red gravy sauce.
Yep, we got it. Oh,
What's this wee stuff?
What store was this card for? It says Club Z, and it looks incredibly 80s. It's either Zazzles, Zappos, Zellers, or Zara.
Well, it's not Zappos because they weren't around then.
Yeah, maybe Zazzle or Zellers is what I'm thinking.
My thought was Zazzle.
It was Zellers.
Damn it.
Where is this cookie from?
Canada.
Speaking of jizz sandwich, that's what this looks like. This looks like a chocolate chip cookie that someone jizzed on, but maybe they're having prostate problems because some of the...
Oh, is it red too?
Yeah, some of it's a little icy red. So it's Tim Hortons, A&W, Wendy's, or Cobb's.
Cobb's?
No, Tim Hortons.
Hey.
What does this store sell? Joe Fresh. Salad, clothing, juices, pasta.
I'm going to go with juices.
Clothing.
Really?
Joe Fresh.
Well, I think fresh made me think of juices because he was like, "Oh, these are some fresh pasta."
Right.
And I don't think Canada is hates themselves enough to have like a drive-through pasta place. However, I very, very briefly lived in South Carolina around the time my oldest was born, and they had a drive-through pasta place there.
Oh my god!
And, it was like they had like this row that was like the least healthiest like series of restaurants I've ever seen in my life. There's like a drive-through like fried chicken place, the drive-through pasta place, and they had like every other like type of like horrible fast food restaurant you can think of.
Wow. Oh, South Carolina, we love you.
I don't.
Final question. Who left these peanut butter footprints? It's a picture of, a peanut butter on toast with footprints in it, I guess. Anassus, George Shrinks, Caillou, or House Hippo?
Caillou, and that's definitely not Caillou. I'm going to say House Hippo, because it's probably like a tiny hippo.
Correct. You are correct.
I'm guessing that we're going to be considered Canadian from the results.
It says you are definitely a Canadian. Congrats, you just proved yourself to be a Canadian. You're so lucky to have grown up believing in house hippos, watching wacky TV shows, and hanging out with your friend at Second Cup. Second Cup sounds like the sequel to Two Girls, One Cup.
Right.
Oh, God.
I wouldn't mind living in Canada. It's like a really nice country. It's like basically like a better version of the United States.
Yeah, I have no problem with Canada.
I mean, I'm a firearms enthusiast, but I mean that's like my only issue. But I mean, it's not a deal breaker.
No, well they've got. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they're
they use their guns responsibly up there.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it's not like horribly restrictive. I don't know exactly all their gun
I think
laws,
you can hunt and stuff too, but I'm really into handguns, and it's not really a handgun friendly place. But I mean, it's worked out for them. I mean, how many mass shootings have they had?
I don't know.
I can't really think of any.
Me either. Oh, good for Canada. But anyway, so now we'll move on to educating Mike, or no, fuck. Why do I always do this? Keeping current with Mike.
I just really have loved that session.
I really don't know.
I'm glad because I didn't like it either.
But yeah, so we plumb the depths of the celebrity gossip columns and we find out what's going on in the world of the Kardashians or whatever. Although we rarely seem to talk about them. I guess they're not.
Yeah, they're not caught up with them at all.
They're not fire anymore, huh? See, I use that kind of language too.
That's the other thing that I don't really understand who watches, but I'm sure clearly somebody does.
Oh, yeah.
I bet every person who watches it is like, I don't really like them, but I still watch it because...
What do you think? Do you think there's anyone that watches that program that actually listens to our show?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe one person. If you're the one person out there that does that, let us know.
Yeah, we're just wondering. We're not gonna shame you or anything. I mean, I watch a bunch of stuff that no one else would like. I'm just curious as to what you get out of it.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, now we're really scraping the bottom today because we went to BuzzFeedNews.com,
Oh God.
inspired by your BuzzFeed quiz. It's
Apparently.
a very BuzzFeed-heavy episode.
Yeah.
The first headline I'm reading is a 2004 Christmas movie with two versions, one with two dads and another with straight parents, has gone viral.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like like there's like two versions of this Christmas movie. Obviously, like I just said, one of them is like there's a same-sex pair of dads, and then the other one has like a straight parents, which it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really read too much into it, but it's kind of weird that it's like they made two different versions.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really go into it in the headline, but I bet they like in the deep south they probably have like the straight couple version, and like in like more progressive areas they probably have the the two dads version.
Yeah. Like my
And
two dads.
neither of them was Paul Reiser.
Yeah, that's the problem is that they didn't get Paul Reiser and Charles Evigan to, I think that was his name. Evigan was his last name. I know that. But if they got them to do it, I'd watch that movie.
I think it's an interesting idea because I mean, obviously, like with all the competing streaming services, which they're already like going to overdrive as I predicted. Like the prices are just going to drop, and you'll get more content. It'll ultimately probably be pretty good for the consumer, unless one of the companies actually wins.
Yeah.
Like Netflix already announced that they're making a deal with
Nickelodeon.
They made a deal with Nickelodeon, yeah, and that's gonna be. I mean, my wife was already excited, like hoping they'll have like old shows like Salute Your Shorts and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Doug.
I didn't have cable until I was like 18, so I never had any Nickelodeon shows I really watched.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that during the news segment, but that is a huge deal that Nickelodeon and Netflix are going to team up. They're trying to compete with Disney. Like you said, though, it's going to be one of those situations where we're just going to get more content. And like you said, as long as Amazon, Netflix, Disney, at least those three, and like HBO, as long as those four companies all kind of remain independent and one doesn't buy other ones of that, I think it's going to be real good for consumers.
Yeah, it's all about the consumer. But yeah, I kind of like the idea of this. I mean, being able to tailor make almost like a choose your own adventure type thing. I mean, maybe just shoot some extra scenes. That's not a bad thing for the future. They've been talking about that for years, but they never really have implemented it. This was just like an accidental doing it, I guess.
Yeah, they could do that for all movies. You could go online and it asks a series of questions. What do you want to see? You basically just take a quiz, like a BuzzFeed quiz, and it tells you.
Or even like a choose your own adventure book. You'll just like, oh, what do you want them to do? You can just click that, and that's that's your movie.
Yep, exactly.
They've been doing that in adult movies for quite some time.
Yep.
I heard.
What position do you want them to be in?
Yeah, they've had that for a while.
That's good.
Yeah. Our next story is Clive Owen will play former President Bill Clinton in FX's Impeachment, American Crime Story.
Oh, interesting. So I didn't know that they were doing that as their next.
Yeah, I didn't. Did you watch the People versus OJ? I think that was their first one. I'm not opposed to it. I think that's an interesting idea. Was that? I heard it was good. Did you watch it? I was thinking of John Travolta. I know he was in it.
Yeah, my wife and I watched it, and I enjoyed it a lot. I thought that I didn't watch the Versace one, but we did watch the O.J. Simpson one, and I thought it was really good and very well done. The guys that are behind American Horror Story and American Crime Story, I think they generally get most things right. I think they're good creators. Obviously, American Horror Story is very hit and miss from season to season, but I think part of what they're trying to do is hit a lot of different demographics, and because they know for whatever reason people will just come back. They're like, oh, that season wasn't great. I'm gonna come back to the next season, see if it got better.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. I mean, that they kind of overall trust, but can understand that certain things won't be for them. This might be interesting. Obviously, there's a big topic of impeachment in the news these days with the president, having hearings for. I actually am very ambivalent towards it. I don't even know if it's actually impeachment or if they're just discussing impeachment. I honestly don't know what's happening.
Well, they're holding the inquiry right now. So basically, what they're doing,
It's almost like a grand jury where they want to see if they want to try and impeach him.
yeah, they're gathering evidence to see if there's enough evidence to actually call for a vote for an impeachment. Yeah.
Gotcha. But yeah, that was obviously a big story. We lived through it at the time. I think we were probably, like 18 or so when this was happening. I didn't pay a ton of attention to it, but it was interesting, the whole president redefining what sexual intercourse is or sexual relationships is, which is kind of funny because, obviously he's lying. Just say that you equate, like, a fellatio with, like, it's non-sexual. How is that non-sexual?
Right. Yeah.
In fact, it's almost more sexual than, like, traditional, like, vaginal sex in a way.
It's a pretty intimate position to be in.
Because if you think of it, though, fellatio, there's no, you can't say you're doing it for procreation. It's clearly a sexual thing. It's not like we have to do this to have a child thing. It's just purely sexual. And if you have a man groomer, it's like a breeze for the woman, I hear.
Exactly. It's
or the guy. I'm not judging anyone here.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if I'll watch that. I know I really want to. I think Vincent Bugliosi, he's the guy who wrote Helter Skelter. Mm-hmm. I think he wrote, or maybe he didn't write a. I think he wrote a book on OJ. I was thinking because that's the American crime story. His book on OJ was wow. This guy researches like insane. Like he basically said Marsha Cross, maybe Clark, and he basically says they're like the worst attorneys ever.
Oh yeah, not good.
Which is kind of interesting because you think, you would have thought they were their best, but yeah, that was a very interesting trial. Maybe I'll watch this. Again, I'm thinking of OJ. Maybe I'll watch the OJ thing because, that was like a really fascinating like event because you had Johnny Cochran, who was like, one of the most charismatic attorneys ever in a courtroom. Mm-hmm. And then you had like a Barry Scheck who which is kind of funny because today he leads this thing called the Innocent Project.
Yes.
In a sense, which he tries to but at the time he basically perverted the use of DNA because I don't think any rational or reasonable person could think that OJ was actually innocent.
No, nope.
However, that being said, I'd rather have him be released free than an innocent person be rendered guilty.
Oh yeah.
If the state can't prove their case, that's clearly on the state.
Yeah, absolutely. The state failed miserably.
They did a terrible job.
Yeah.
But our next story is really a really fascinating one to me. I've heard about this for a while, but now it's back in the headlines for some reason. Maybe because it's like been filed or something. But the actress/comedian Monique is suing Netflix for racial and gender discrimination. Have you heard about this at all?
No. What's going on with that?
A few years ago, I think she was offered a special on Netflix, and they offered her, which to someone who's not in the entertainment industry, it's a big amount, but it was $500,000.
Huh. Okay.
But at the same time, they're offering, Dave Chappelle $20 million a special,
exactly.
Jerry Seinfeld $20 a special, and then Amy Schumer I think was offered like $12 million a special, and then she negotiated up to 13. So she's saying that it's a combination of racial and gender discrimination. See, I think a lot of people know Monique more as an actress now, but she's a stand-up comedian. That's how she got her start. She's, by all accounts, a very funny stand-up comedian. I've seen a few of her things. I find her funny. I think she's a great actress. I like her in the movie Beer Fest, which is a weird,
yes,
role, but she's really great in that. And I've heard she's amazing in Precious, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, that's a very good movie. She is excellent in that movie.
I do feel that they lowballed her, but at the same time, I think it's because I don't know when the last time she did stand-up comedy was.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. Would companies discriminate? I'm sure that it happens, but I feel like, Dave Chappelle is going to bring a certain volume of audience.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle is the greatest comedian out there right now.
Yeah.
There's no doubt of it. You could have Norm's my favorite, but Dave is easily the best comedian out there right now. There's no.
And Eddie Murphy is good, and that's Eddie Murphy. If he has a special, they're going to have to pay a lot of money for him to have a special too, because.
Oh, for sure, but at the same time, it's Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is probably known as the greatest comedian, of his generation. He's a force of nature. Eddie Murphy is. Again, Monique's a great actress, but I bet half the people who heard this would be surprised to hear she was a stand-up comedian.
Oh,
she's
absolutely.
Mostly known for being an actress.
And that's the thing is like, so Jim Jeffries, he's got, or even Jim Gaffigan, for that matter. Those two guys, I don't know what they negotiated for as far as what they got for their Netflix special, but I'm guessing they didn't get Chappelle or Seinfeld money.
No, I mean, Jim Gaffigan is, a very well-known comedian, and again, he's known for being a comedian. I'm sure he probably got $5 million or more than that. I mean, he's probably comparable to Amy Schumer.
Yeah, that would be my guess, but yeah, I think they're basically basing it on,
how many subscriptions are going to sign up to get this.
Exactly. That's what they're basing it on. Now, I do think 500,000 is low for.
It's certainly low. Yeah, I mean, especially after she pays all the expenses of her manager and agent and that kind of stuff. I mean, it's, again, for someone who's not in the entertainment industry, it's an astonishing, life-changing sum. But for her, I mean, it's maybe a year's worth of mortgage for a house.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, again, I'm a huge fan of Monique, and I really like her. I like that she stands up for herself against. I don't know if you are aware, but like Oprah and like Tyler Perry, she came out like saying they were like crippling. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but she said they were holding her back from like future work and that sort of thing because she didn't like pardon me, she didn't like bow down before them and let them like designate what she's going to do in her career.
Huh, interesting.
I mean, good for she's a very I know there's a movie coming out called Harriet, and I know she's too old probably to play that part, but I think she would be a great Harriet Tubman. She's got a very like strong, forceful personality, and she's a great actress. I mean, that would like there's some roles that I think would just be like perfect. I think she would be perfect for that.
Yeah, I agree. I like Monique a lot, but I just like you. I don't. This doesn't smack to me of discrimination as much as it smacks to me of
very lowball offer.
Yeah, it's a lowball offer, but it's like they're not dying for a Monique special.
Right. I mean, again, I don't think anyone's really clamoring for I mean, maybe there are some people who really like love her stand up, but I mean, she's really known as an actress these days.
Yeah. And
I mean, again, good for her to stand up for herself. I mean, I appreciate that. I honestly, I don't have the internal, memos and shit, obviously, but I don't. My heart tells me that this is not a racial discrimination thing because, again, I mean, not that I mean, she's very specifically saying that it's just black women because, as she says, women made good deals, and obviously black men made great deals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, I mean, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, I don't really. I mean, in the movie My Name is Dolomite, I can't remember her name, LaVon or LaShawn. She's a African American, comedian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, aside from Monique, I mean, Tiffany Haddish. I bet Tiffany Haddish would get like a much better deal than Monique.
That's the one that's the example that I was going to bring up is that Tiffany Haddish would probably, get the biggest. Monique or not Monique, Leslie Jones. If Leslie Jones wanted, she's not really a stand-up, but if she wanted to do a stand-up, I bet she'd
get start off with it.
Yeah.
Or like there's like another. I mean, I know a few like Samora. She's a pretty good comedian. There's this hilarious African American female comedian named Miss Pat. Mm-hmm. She's hilarious. Like she's almost like a Joey Diaz type, where like her whole life is like. I don't know if you're familiar with Joey Diaz, but like, her whole life is like hilarious. Like like I said before with Red Fox, a couple episodes ago, it's like just everything about her is funny.
Yeah. If Whoopi Goldberg came back and said she wanted to do a stand-up special, I bet she'd get, she might not get 20 million.
Right, yeah. But she'd get more than Monique, though, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that, because I love Whoopi Goldberg. I love that she's against the grain all the time, Like, she was the one saying, bring back the song. She says a lot of stuff that many people say is controversial, but it's just like, she's just not conforming to the norm, which is great. I mean, I just love people like that. It's the best kind of person you could be. Yeah,
me too. I really enjoy. I like that she'll try to make her like she makes her own way in Hollywood. When Star Trek: The Next Generation came out, she was like, "Hey, I really liked Star Trek when I was a kid. I want to be on this show, so write me a part."
Right. Yep.
And they wrote her in, and she actually, for fans of that series, she actually contributed to, in a very intimate way to, a few different plot lines of the show. She wasn't just like a background character.
No, yeah, she was. I mean, she's another great actress. I mean, look at the movie The Color Purple and how that movie doesn't she should win a Best Actress every year for that movie. She's so great in that.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, that's all I have from the rips from the headlines or whatever we call the segment, educating Mark, keeping
Yeah.
current with Mike. I don't know.
Keeping up with Manscaped.
There you go.
Manscaped.com. Now, let me tell you something. When you've got your Manscaped, you're all cleaned up down there and everything. You're gonna be totally ready for action. But what if your little guy there doesn't as that guy in House said? What if the little man doesn't want to stand up and salute? Well, then you need Blue
Right, here
Chew.
you are with your perfectly smooth balls ready to roar, but I mean,
Exactly.
what, you're gonna not rise to the occasion?
Yeah, you gotta bring your A game now that you're all cleaned up down there. So what you need is BlueChew.com. Like the color blue, Blue Chew. It's
Like the other certain famous blue pill, which this is derived from the same sort of ingredients. Because I actually looked this up just out of curiosity after our last time, and what they do is, I mean, if you use our offer code, you're not paying anything. Is that still the case, Mark?
yes, that's correct. It is still free if you use the offer code.
Yeah, because you actually do have to get a prescription, but the prescription is part of the package. When you call them up, they actually have a doctor. They kind of give you a quick assessment. And, be honest. Obviously, make sure you don't have any medical ailment that would cause distress. But I mean, if you clear that, you're good to go. You just call up, give them our code, and you get free medicine. I mean, this is the same stuff that people were all the raging erection over like 20 years ago when it first came out. It's just a generic equivalent.
Exactly. And it's the first chewable FDA approved Viagra, Cialis, ingredient type pill. So it works quick. You can take it on an empty stomach. It's twice as fast. You will be ready to go.
Yeah, like you mentioned before, you don't want to eat like a giant 12-inch sub and then go to Pound Town. I mean, you can just get this and you're good to go.
Exactly. That's queasiness right there, let me tell you. So if you go to bluechew.com, that's BLUE chew.com, and use our promo code late fee, you will get this product for free. You just have to pay shipping and you're all good. And let me tell you something. You are going to thank us for going to bluechew.com. And before we move on, we got another one, Mike. Where it's a double adder. I guess it's a triple adder today. But we're gonna tell you one more time about going to mybookie.ag. So if you like us, let me tell you something. The other owner of the company here, Dan, he used the promo code. He used the promo code late fees with an S, all capitalized, and went to mybookie.ag, and he placed some bets. And let me tell you something, dude won some money. I mean, seriously, Mike, this isn't a bit. He's been doing really well betting on college football, and he's got a good stash of money there at mybookie.ag. He's even thinking about starting a podcast. He told me today, he's like, if I keep doing well on this, I'm going to start a podcast where I just do picks, because he's really having a magical run here.
Nice. And with my bookie, as we all know, you double your money. So it's like,
Yes.
you're basically getting free money. I mean, who doesn't like free money? I like free money.
Yep. You just go to mybookie.
Actually, it gives you 50% now, right?
Yeah, it's 50%.
I mean, still 50%. You put in $1, they give you 50 cents for free, no strings attached, probably.
Yeah, no strings attached. You just have to use it. But yeah, no strings attached other than that. But yeah, you go to mybookie.ag. You sign up, $100, $200, $500. They're gonna give you half of whatever you're depositing in there for free. They're gonna match that.
If you're nervous about it, just bet with the money that you get for free. It's free money.
Exactly.
I mean, how could you not want free money?
So football season is heating up here. The Lions aren't doing great. So
the NBA's starting off. We got a lot of NBA games coming out. Hockey's started for those of us who follow hockey.
Yep.
Maybe next year we'll follow them.
Right. Yeah,
I'm kidding. They're just not doing well right now.
yeah, college basketball's starting up too. It's a good time for a lot of sports, and there are a lot of great bets out there. You want to do a parlay? You want to take an NBA game, a college game, an NFL game, put them all together, bet a little bit of money, make a lot. Go to mybookie.ag, enter our promo code late fees, and you will be on your way to making a lot of money so you can take your wife on a nice date with your smooth balls, take a Blue Chew, and then go to Pound Town. That is a great day, and you can use all three of these products to do it.
You're basically doing it for free.
Yes, exactly. You're free. You're getting a free meal and free sex out of this, basically. I mean, essentially, that's what it is.
I mean, the college football national championships are coming up. The Super Bowl's coming up. Would you not want to bet with free money on this? I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. It's a no-brainer. mybookie.ag. Go today.
What's that code again, Mark?
Late fees, all caps, LATEFEES.
That's right.
And then one more thing before we get into the main topic. I want to talk to you about a great show that we have over here at the Big Heads Media Network. We love them. We talk to them all the time. It's Richie. It's Cody. It's the Super Media Bros. Take a listen to them.
I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Okame.
We are the Super Media Bros podcast.
Each week, we give a comedically informative take on movies,
Music,
television,
video games,
and much more.
Put your shades on and listen to all episodes on supermediabrospodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah,
Shades on.
we're off.
All right, now on to the main topic.
Hey, actually, speaking of other podcasts on the network, can I bring one up real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very recently, I listened to this podcast by Deep Into History. It was about Hattori Hanzo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, for anybody who's ever been interested in Japanese culture, especially during the 14th or 17th centuries, and me as a young boy, I was really into ninjas. This is the podcast you want to listen to. It's about an hour and a half, and the host, what's it? Arnish, maybe is his name.
Arun.
Arun, that's what it is. Yeah, he just goes in depth into this. He presents it in a really nice literary format. It's all the information you ever want to know about this legendary character Hattori Hanzo and ninjas in general. I would definitely highly recommend that one.
Yeah, he does a great job. We definitely love having him on the network. So yeah, check out Deep Into History for sure. Speaking of history, the thing that I watched this week, Mike, is it reminds me of, it's The Mandalorian, by the way, on Disney Plus. This one's coming out much.
When should I come back? When you're done with this?
I honestly think you might like this show. I mean, not enough for me to say, hey, go get Disney Plus and watch the show, but I think you might actually like it. Although there are some things, so I'll go through it a little bit. But it's coming out. This is one thing you won't like about it. It comes out week by week, like the old TV shows used to do. They obviously put a lot of money into this. This is basically a Western in space. He's a bounty hunter, and that's the majority of everything that's going on. He's a bounty hunter. He comes into a bar. First scene, he comes into a bar. This guy says to him, "Hey, you made me spill my drink." He comes up to him. Him and his big friend. They're starting to kind of intimidate him, try to talk to him, push him around a little bit. He's just sitting there taking it. He's got his mask and everything on. And then it's the classic thing where, he starts fist fighting them and eventually shoots them, kills both of them, and then goes and grabs this guy that's a bounty that he's going to turn in. So it's very much like a Western, old TV Western. That's what it reminds me of a lot. The only
issue is, from what I've heard, bounty hunters are known for having salty language.
Yeah, that's true. And everything on Disney Plus is PG-13, so we're not getting too too nitty gritty. And
Dang it, you just killed my friend.
Right. That would, and that's the thing is that's an area, I think that is something that would make it more interesting, to be completely honest, is if they went a little darker, went a little grittier, but, you know, obviously they're trying to keep it as family friendly as possible to reach the widest possible audience that they can. But, so, there is some Star Wars stuff in it. We see a couple stormtroopers. This takes place after Return of the Jedi. So the Empire's fallen, but there are still, you know, some stormtroopers, like, you know, skulking around, basically. There are still some former Imperials as part of, like, an underworld kind of, like, plot. You know, they're there. And, you know, there's things like that. There's a few callbacks here and there, or mentions to things that people that, you know, that know Star Wars would know. I'm trying to think. I can't think off the top of my head of any of them, but I remember when I was watching the show, I remember thinking like, oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. But they just, like, they rolled off my back because I did not care about them. The Pedro Pascal is the star of the show. He's the one that...
Oh, he is? I really like him. He's a good actor.
Yeah, and he's very good in... Now, he doesn't take his mask off, so you don't see him, but he's actually in the armor, and, you know, it's his voice, obviously. But he's... And it's interesting, too, because, you know, it's a hard acting job. He's got to convey different emotions and things without us really being able to see his face.
Is he really in the armor, or is it just his voice?
No, he's really in the armor. Like, he's really on the set. It's really his body. And when he speaks, he's, you know, I think he's hooked up to some kind of microphone or something like that underneath his armor so that it comes more clearly. But he's actually delivering dialogue, you know, on the set too, so that people can play off of him. But he's really good in the show, and the reason I think you'd like it is because it's like I said, it's a very Western motif, and he's going after this bounty that a former Imperial wants, and it's, you know, it's big money, it's off the grid kind of thing, and he's, you know, he's trying to go after it, and there's a bit of a mystery element to it, you know, like what's really going on, kind of thing. It's too early for me to say whether or not I'm really gonna love it, but I did enjoy the first couple. 2 episodes are out right now. I did enjoy.
They released 2.
Yeah, I did enjoy the first couple episodes. Next week, you know, episode 3 will be out. It is a little annoying that it's a week by week thing. I don't mind every once in a while, you know, like Castle Rock and stuff like that. I don't mind.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, are you still watching Castle Rock?
I watched, yeah, but see, here's the thing. Like, I let it lapse. It wasn't like hey, when it comes out, I gotta watch it again kind of thing. But my wife likes it a little bit more than I do this season, so I am completely caught up on it. It's infuriating to me, and my wife agrees, that they're not just vampires. Like, the ultimate, like, bad guys of the season are some sort of weird, like, witch, you know, like, reincarnated zombie type people, I guess. It's like they're collecting. So one of the guys gets killed. Ace Merrill gets killed. But he comes back. He gets resurrected.
Sometimes they come back.
Yeah, exactly. She puts him in the Marston house from Salem's Lot, which anyone that remembers Salem's Lot, that's where the vampires were, Kurt Barlow, you know, those guys. She puts him in there, and these bugs, like kind of surround him and everything. And I think ultimately what it's going to be is, because they said that instead of there being vampires there, way back when there were witch trials there in Salem's Lot.
So it's going to be like a Pet Cemetery type thing then?
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. It's a little bit mix of like witches and Pet Cemetery. And it's infuriating that it's just not, because they go, so Ace is going around and he's collecting different people and killing them and then bringing them to the Marston house and reanimating them like he was reanimated. So they're building like an army of these, you know, undead people, and it's infuriating that they're not just vampires. It would fit more with, you know, what happens in the actual books, and it would make more sense.
Well, at least they're not cat changers.
Yeah, exactly. like
You know what?
sleepwalkers, right?
You know what I would like to see is a like an HBO series, a miniseries.
Yeah.
Either The Stand or Needful Things. That would be great. I think they would do a really good
Yes.
job with either of those.
Yeah, I agree. I think the stand's always been one of those ones where you need a lot of room, and Needful Things I think is the same way. I think Needful Things could
I
be
think Needful
really
Things would be
good.
easier. You could do a great job with Needful Things.
Yeah.
But The Stand is, I mean, the Stand, you basically have to cut out how they, like I've complained before, they reset up the power grid and all that. That's not important.
No, not at all. The Needful Things is almost built for an HBO type show like that because
You can get Ed Harris back again. He could be Leland Gaunt this time.
yeah. But I mean, each episode is like a different artifact, like a different person, that gets
Yeah.
something from Needful Things, and the
that'd be
thing
great.
that they have to do, and then all of it can kind of like begin to tie
You
together.
kind of tie it together. Yep,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah, it's
Actually, you know who would be?
yeah. Go ahead.
You know who would be a great Leland Gaunt would be Ian McKellen, I think.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
He's got like a nice combination of he seems very like a nice person, but you can see he's good at like being menacing too. I mean, I'd say Christopher Lee if he were still alive, but he's obviously not alive.
Right. Yeah, I could see Christopher Lee doing it totally. Christopher Lee would go back and forth between, one of his more sinister roles and the guy from not Ghostbusters, the guy from the Gremlins 2, the new batch where he's the scientist.
Yeah. Hey, if you could think of a perfect casting for any Stephen King property, what would it be? I have one that I think is going to blow your mind.
I mean, if it could be any era, maybe
Any actor ever for any Stephen King property ever. Like, who would you think would be the perfect cast?
probably Clint Eastwood as Roland.
A young Clint Eastwood, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
Actually,
young Clint Eastwood.
Mike, well, yeah, I don't think so.
Right.
Mine is actually from the same, from the Dark Tower, but I can't remember his name. He's the leader of the Coffin Nailers. Maybe it's Jonah.
Okay.
Lance Henriksen.
Oh God, yes.
That would be the best casting ever, I think.
Yeah, I could see that. Lance Hendrickson, yeah, absolutely.
He would be perfect for that.
But yeah, that's basically what I watched this week. Like I said, I mean, I'm enjoying The Mandalorian. I'll have to like maybe when the season's over, I'll go, I'll do like a retrospective on here or whatever about how I liked it. But I'll continue to watch it. If you've got Disney Plus, I'd recommend checking it out. It's worth it.
Cool.
What'd you watch, Mike?
I watched a lot of stuff this week, but the thing that I think really sticks out is I watched the most recent episode of South Park.
Okay.
Have you been watching South Park recently?
I watched the last, so I think maybe like a few episodes ago, but I haven't seen the last probably, I don't know, 4 or 5, something like that.
Well, this episode's called Board Girls, B-O-A-R-D. I bet if Carrot Top's in it, though, it would be spelled B-O-R-E-D.
Right.
So the episode starts out with a thing that I guess has been happening, but I haven't really been noticing because I haven't been really watching them that much this season. But there's a group called, it's almost like the Muppet Babies, but they're called the PC Babies because there's a principal called Principal PC and it's his babies.
Yeah.
And like they cry whenever like anything like is like controversial.
Right.
And this episode was quite controversial. Have you heard or read about this at all, Mark?
No, I haven't heard anything about this episode.
In this episode, Principal PC's partner, they're not married because, they're not, it's a patriarchal thing, I think.
Right.
But he's dating this woman named Miss Strong, and she's like, pretty proud of the fact that she competes in like strong women competitions. Mm-hmm. But then when she goes to her most recent competition, a new woman shows up who is basically a cartoon rendering of Randy Savage. We found out that's it's a trans athlete. Yeah, we find out that it's actually a trans woman who only a couple weeks ago decided that she wanted to be a female.
Okay.
And then, so I mean, everyone on the show obviously accepts because you have to accept people who say they're trans, and she just like beats the shit out of everybody, and she destroys all her competition in this match. Mm-hmm. And she goes on to like dominate all these other sports, and like MMA and then even like, she reveals that actually she's just like Miss Strong's ex-boyfriend who's only transitioning because, she wants to get back at Miss Strong.
Right.
Because there's all these great, like, Randy Savage-esque moments where, like, he's like, oh, yeah, like, giving a speech, and then he just, like, kind of, after the speech, he goes, and Miss Strong is the worst, that sort of thing.
Right.
And then, there's a lot of, like, people like, oh, you're transphobic if you're... But I'm going to get to this later. The other part is, it's another, like, many things have been jumping on, like, the D&D, Dungeons & Dragons board, or bandwagon recently.
Okay.
And so the other part of the story is Cartman like runs like a board games group at the school, and they play D&D, and then a couple girls show up, and they just start like kicking ass at all the board games they play, and they're upset because like, hey, these girls actually prepare ahead of time, and they know how to play the game, and that's upsetting us. So they're trying to like ban them from this, and then eventually like after the Randy Savage character beats everybody at everything, the little girls say, "Oh, you can't beat us at board games," and sure enough, she can't because she says she only transitioned a couple weeks ago. She hasn't the long experience of playing board games, and so she's not good at them like she would be if she were born.
Right. Okay.
Now, every article I've seen about this has mentioned this is controversial, but I think they're actually missing the point.
Okay.
Because the point about this is I would bet money on this if they were aware of Joe Rogan's comments on trans athletes performing in MMA fights.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Rogan makes a good point because yes, they're identifying as women now, and they're possibly even taking like hormones to become a woman, but they have a man's bone structure, they have a man's muscle. They have like often 20 or even sometimes 30 years of being a man, and then they've been a woman for a short period of time. I'm sorry, some people will say it's sexist, but men are stronger than women, and there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And they're better athletes too. Again, that's not being shitty, but I mean, like, Serena Williams doesn't like go up against Rafael Nadal to practice. She goes against like the 100th ranked player on the men's team, if that, and then she still gets beaten by him.
Right.
That's just how biologically speaking. That's what I think. In my opinion, that's the point South Park was trying to make. But then I read this review by the AV Club, and they're making some crazy argument that there was like a woman who they suspected was like too manly a few years ago in a marathon. Do you recall this?
Yes. Yeah, I remember.
And so they're saying, oh, they're making fun of this, black trans woman. And the thing is, that woman wasn't even like a trans woman. It was just like she had too much testosterone. That's just how she was born.
Correct.
And that was a controversy. So they're in no way making fun of this. They're, in my opinion, just making fun. Like they're saying, like Joe Rogan says, like if it's a blood sport, it's completely unfair. I mean, you could have an all trans division if you want, but I mean, if you have a man's skeletal structure and his muscles, and you've had them for all your life, and only recently are you taking more estrogen? I mean, that's just not fair. I mean, and these there's a lot of them who just dominate the sports, much like in this episode.
Yeah, here's the thing. So I agree with everything you're saying. I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anyone listening, and probably not a surprise to you either. But so the NFL doesn't discriminate based on gender. A lot of people don't realize that. But you don't have to be a man to play in the NFL. Yet no woman has ever played in the NFL. I'm pretty sure, although I guess I'd have to research this, I'm not 100% sure.
There was a soccer star recently who was teasing that she might go into the NFL as a kicker. I don't remember her name though.
Yeah, but even that hasn't happened. I'm pretty sure all the sports, don't have a gender barrier. I don't think it's legal for them to. But there's only been. As far as I remember, 2. I think it's 2. And there were both goalies in hockey that have ever played.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's been female... And it wasn't the cat from Mighty Ducks 2 either. It was, some, woman who... I mean, women are very agile. They're probably more agile than men, I would say. And that's a very agile position. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, that speaks to your point that, yes... We all know, for anyone that might want to get upset out there, although I don't think our audience is really like that, but for anyone that might want to get upset out there, we all know, Mike knows, I know, that there are exceptions. There are women out there that could beat the hell out of me.
Any woman in the NBA would crush me in basketball. I have no doubt about that.
Right.
Or college or high school probably. I'm not an amazing basketball player, but the best high school basketball player versus the best female high school basketball player, there's no competition whatsoever.
Yep, agreed. So when you're comparing apples to apples, like Mike's saying, skill level to skill level, men just biologically are, stronger and faster, and they have more muscle structure. That's just biologically how we were built. It's the same as saying it's not racist
Intelligently designed.
Yeah, exactly. It's not racist to say, and I'm gonna mix it up. I don't remember if it's East or West. I don't remember. So if I get it wrong,
You're gonna say the West African marathon runners, right?
Yeah, marathon runners and the East African sprinters. Yeah. So
there's like Usain Bolt is from like a long line of, I think he's obviously Jamaican, but he comes from like the Kenyan like kind of runner tradition. Like his genetics go to Kenya, and he is, there's no doubt he has genetic advantages, just like men have genetic advantages and hormonal advantage.
Yep. And the reason is because of like muscle structure. So like the length of the thigh muscle and calf muscle and stuff like that. The minute differences like that in different areas, different biologies, in different cultural groups and things like that, make big differences when it comes to the biggest stage. The same is true for men and women when it comes to athletic competition. I think it's crazy. And I mean, I'm sorry if this is discriminatory to trans men that want to become women, but
I think you have the opposite. It's trans women.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
because the opposite is not true. Trans men are not kicking the shit out of every MMA competition they go into.
Correct.
They're just not.
Yeah. So it's crazy to, especially in MMA or boxing or in an area where it's a woman getting beaten up. It's upsetting to see.
I mean, it doesn't bother me if like there's a trans cyclist who's just breaking every record there is. I mean, that doesn't bother me. If I was a woman, that might bother me. If I was a woman competitive athlete who has for years been plugging away at cycling and was the best, and then this new trans woman comes in and just like beats everybody, I mean, that would bother me. But she's not getting hurt. In MMA, there's basically biologically a man. I'm sorry, I know you want to call yourself a woman. If I'll call you a woman, it doesn't matter to me. It's your life. Whatever makes you happy, do it. But there's like a legit risk of like someone who's for a lot of purposes biologically is very masculine and very strong compared to a woman who, I mean, there's outliers. Obviously, there's Amanda Nunes, Holly, I forget her last name, but there's Ronda Rousey. There's clearly women who would kick my ass without even blinking, but I mean, they're not as strong as a man is going to be, or someone who's only recently stopped being a man, because you have testosterone for 30 years.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is we're not saying that any man could transition to a woman and then beat up Ronda Rousey. But if Chuck Liddell did it, or like someone else who was equally trained as Ronda Rousey in MMA and was a man, then they probably could.
Yeah, strength alone. I mean, men are just stronger than women. I mean, not every man is stronger than every woman, but I mean, it annoys me that we have to be so delicate and on eggshells about this. I mean, like I said, I don't care. It doesn't bother me if you want to be if you want to transition. That does not bother me. But I'm happy for you. If it makes you happy, I'm glad. But we're talking about physical risks here, and that is not fair. It's just not. It's not competitive.
Yeah, I don't see any controversy with this episode. In my opinion, at least from the way you've described it, because like you said, I don't care. So as far as like marriage equality under the law, being able to use the bathroom of your preference or whatever, I don't give a shit about any of that. Like it doesn't bother me at all. I don't care. I think people should be treated equally,
for sure,
in those ways. But this is different. This is different.
Yeah, these people have like a horrible history of being treated like shit. I mean, it's horrible. It's appallable. But at the same time, I mean, we have to live in reality, to some degree. Yeah, and that's just biological, hormonal. You have an advantage that they can never have.
I mean, if LeBron James and like Carmelo Anthony or like a bunch of guys out there decided that they wanted to transition to be a woman and then play in the WNBA, it would destroy the WNBA. It would destroy the league and the women in the league because they made this choice.
Yeah, and the advantage is so absurd that I would say the guys on the bench, if they formed a team and went to the WNBA, they would be crushing everything.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I'm sorry that's the case, but that's the biological facts.
if you weren't to judge men and women different, there would be no different. It would be every college would be co-ed. As far as sports went, every professional team would be co-ed. But there are clear biological differences, much like a 7-footer. I think in the United States, if you're 7 foot tall and a man, you're like there's a 1 in 8 chance you play in the NBA. There's some crazy fact.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing. So it's not. That's an important point that I think people overlook a lot of times. There's discrimination, which is wrong, and then there's acknowledging differences, which is just logical. So, if I say, acknowledging that, a black person's ancestry, the majority of it comes from Africa, or that, their food preferences can sometimes be, Southern, Southern food preferences, like Southern breakfast, like grits and things like that, watermelon, which, obviously has been a big cliche. To acknowledge things like that isn't discriminatory. It's saying, hey, this happened because of certain, cultural things that happened. If you try to paint everyone with a broad brush like that, it can be discriminatory, but they're different things. And acknowledging that men and women are different and have different biologies, and maybe we need to structure society to, with that in mind, is not discriminatory.
I mean, it's if you want to be a pilot in the Navy, you have to have 20/20 vision.
Right.
I have bad eyes. If I went there and I said, "Hey, you can't be a pilot. You have shit eyes," I couldn't say they're discriminatory. There's, like you said, there's a biological difference between me and somebody who has perfect eyes.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to colorblind. I have what's called color deficiency. I couldn't be a pilot either. That's a safety issue. That's not they're discriminating against me. I might not see a mountain in time.
And this is also a safety issue because, there's weight classes in MMA.
Yeah.
There's a 130-pound weight class. If you're 130 pounds and you have 20% more muscle fibers than the opponent who weighs the same amount, that's a big.
Yep, absolutely.
If anyone who listens to this is upset, please just listen to what we said and take in what we're saying. We're not saying, we hate trans people. We don't think they should be in athletics. But we're saying that there's a difference between a person who's been a man for most of their life and someone who's been a woman for most of their life.
Yeah.
If you can't acknowledge or even understand that, then I honestly cannot help you because that's just simple biological fact.
And we're not saying you can't compete at all. We're saying that there needs to be a solution. Whether, like you said, Mike, that's a trans league, or whether it's the women has to compete. The woman, the former man, has to still compete with the men, or whether they break it up by hormone level or what. There can be a solution that allows trans people to compete, but having people who were up until recently men and have that body type and that body structure beating up women is not the solution.
And as I said in the episode, and I believe this is true, I could be wrong, I believe this is true, you can even just say you identify as a woman and still be in some of these leagues, you could still compete as a woman.
I do believe that's the case, yes. I don't think MMA is one of them, but I do believe that there are certain leagues that is the case. Or I guess I should say UFC. The big professional one I don't think is one of them. But I think there might be some MMA minor leagues where you can. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, that's what I watched. It was an interesting controversy. And like I said, there's not, these days every review, even if it doesn't have a topic like this, they'll inject some sort of social awareness, just to let everybody know how great they are.
Yeah, it's the big thing.
I saw a couple reviews and both of them were oh, toxic masculinity, and that's, and it's just I honestly don't think that's what they're doing in this.
No, and it doesn't. Like I said, I'd have to watch it, but it doesn't sound like that to me either. Toxic masculinity is another one of those buzzword things. So here's what I hate about the in the '60s, love them or hate them, the hippies, which I don't like what they become. I liked what they stood for. But one of the reasons I really hate hippies is because of of where they went after the 60s. But in
They're
this,
mostly hippie critical generation of all time.
right, yeah, exactly. And the thing is most of them were like rich and privileged anyway. But you know, they went into their rich, privileged lives and shit like that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The people who didn't have money were busy going to Vietnam.
But this generation might even be worse because they don't do anything. They don't like picket. They don't actually get out of their house and do stuff. They're just like hashtag toxic masculinity. And you're like, you don't, I mean, I'm like, I'll say to them or think, yes, there's a grain of truth in,
You're kind of right.
yeah, in the toxic masculinity thing, but you don't know what that means by the way you're using it. Like a lot of people, you know, some people do, but I see all the time, like people will say shit like toxic masculinity. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not what this is. That does exist in certain areas, or it did exist.
Like Bill O'Reilly, for example.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not what this is. And you don't like, you want to stand for something, but you don't want to take the time to actually learn about it and become knowledgeable about it. Therefore, you just like, oh, these are the buzzwords that I'm gonna use. It's the same thing when people like are talking about politics and they try to like rip apart other people and they say like, you know, cuck and like all this stuff. It's like, you don't know what that means, do you? Or you.
Yeah, or when people like rail against corporations on their iPad, you know, over their Comcast internet connection.
Exactly. You know, the whole thing is. Yeah, it really, because, and that's the thing, is a lot of my thought processes are the same. Like a lot of my like values or what I think is right run somewhat parallel to some of the PC people. At least
it's coming from a good place, okay? No one wants anyone to be bullied. I mean, in a perfect world, this wouldn't exist. Is this how we get to a perfect world? Possibly, I don't know, but to someone my age and, you know, with the way I grew up, it just seems like you're really not doing much. You're like, the term I always hear is virtue signaling. You're just like, oh, I'm a good person. Look at me. I'm against Nazis. Who the fuck isn't against Nazis? There's maybe like 0.5% of the population, if that, who are pro-Nazi.
Right. So,
I mean, we were very anti-Nazi in the 40s when we killed them all.
Yeah, that was a pretty anti-Nazi time.
Yeah, and those same people who are anti-Nazi, or the children of them, are the ones who are being called Nazis because they don't agree with like every single nuance of the, you know, woke / you know, new generation's agenda, which is kind of made up and not really well researched.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, to make matters more complicated, this is another area where it's like, you know, well, they do have somewhat of a point. You know, unfortunately, there are Nazis now again for some reason. I mean, they're not.
There's always the shitty part of society of every, you know, ethnicity, every social group. There's just probably 10% of everybody is just like a shit person.
Yep.
I mean, and since we have social media now and we can see everybody what they're up to, I mean, we see people posting like, "Oh, I wish I would shoot this, you know, that Greta climate change girl with a rifle, and you're a school teacher,
Thunberg or something like that."
I'm just glad that dumb people are, you know, confident as confident as they are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that the internet's good for. It's a good disinfectant because we see a lot of now people are outing themselves.
Exactly, but at the same time, there's some stuff that I mean, this is obviously a controversial thing, but some big game hunting is actually essential to keep these animals alive.
Okay, I mean, I will take, I don't know anything about it, but I'll tell you what, and I'll tell everybody out there, Mike knows a lot about guns and he knows a lot about hunting, so I'm definitely willing to take your word for that.
I'll tell you this, I don't agree with trophy hunting. I don't agree with people who shoot giraffes, you know, just to have a giraffe in their house, or a lion, just to have a lion in the house, but the economic impact is actually pretty substantial, and like for some of these animals, like elephants and stuff, like people who live in the area actually eat them, like it's not going to waste. I mean, and you know, the money, it'll cost you probably like $25,000 to shoot one of the African big five, like, you know, the rhino, the giraffe, lion, elephant, and hippo, I think is what they are. Like, it's like, you know, that's just what they're called.
Yeah.
I mean, the average person who does that is probably just pumping like $100,000 into like this very remote, isolated community.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Much like how in Michigan we hunt deer, pretty enthusiastically, for a couple months total, including all the seasons. I mean, if we didn't, the highway death fatalities would be much higher.
Oh, absolutely.
And the deer would starve. I mean, that's just biologically how it is. We don't have natural predators. We don't have a lot of wolves in the wolves here.
Yeah.
In the woods, not wolves. Wolves in the wolves would create more wolves, and then we would have.
That's right. Then we'd have more. I'll tell you what. Maybe if they manscaped, the wolves would procreate more, and then we wouldn't have to hunt as much.
Could be.
But anyway, that is our episode for the week. As always, do all the stuff here. I'm just
Leave a
gonna
like.
play that.
What do you got against it?
Yeah.
Do you like content? So do we. Leave a like. Hate myself.
Okay, there you go. Just do that stuff.
We completely forgot the IMDb game today.
Oh my God, we did. Oh, you want to do it real quick? I have it actually pulled up.
Sure.
All right. So to end the episode, unlike what we usually do, we'll do the IMDb game.
We'll cleanse the palate of our hate speech.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So.
You want me to go first this time?
Yeah, you can.
All right. I may have already done this one.
All right.
But you'll figure it out. Clue number 1. There's a profusion of sexual innuendo and many sexual references.
A profusion. Super
This
bad.
is a PG-13 movie. No.
Okay.
A young man and woman talk about taking an oral exam, and there are also many terms and names that sound sexual.
That's my boy? No, that's not PG-13.
No, but that's a good one. I should watch it tonight. A woman dances bare-breasted, but any nudity is diffused.
Diffused. What, they use a prism to to block it out. PG-13, that makes it hard. Return of the Living Dead.
No.
Definitely not a PG-13 movie.
2 men are shot at while they climb a ladder. One slips and grabs the other man's pants, pulling them down to expose his buttocks, which are obviously prosthetic.
Obviously prosthetic. Okay. Fuck. Epic movie.
No.
Okay.
A man is strapped into a machine, and part of the machine is positioned over his genitalia.
Freddy Got Fingered.
No, but that is also a good one.
Yeah.
This next one was just ridiculous, but I'm going to read 2. So, men and women dance together in a couple of club scenes. Just how is that offensive?
Right.
Was this written from the town where Foot?
Yeah, no kidding.
Women wear tight-fitting, figure-revealing outfits throughout the movie, especially in the 70s scenes that expose bare shoulders, cleavage, bare backs to the hips, bare abdomens, and bare...
70s scenes. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
No.
Keep on trucking.
A woman shoots at a man with guns embedded in her bra.
Oh, Austin Powers?
Which one, though?
So the Goldmember?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Not really.
70s. That's the one that is that the one that begins with Steven Spielberg at the beginning?
Yeah.
That's the best scene in that movie is Steven Spielberg. All right.
And Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, God. That's right. Here's yours.
He plays a character named Dr. Evil that is less evil than him in real life.
Oh, my God. Seriously, he was just trying to tell us the whole time. Oh.
Pretty much like that SNL sketch where like the guy's like doing the closed captioning and talking about what an asshole he is.
Right.
He was real.
A woman's breasts are very briefly seen in the beginning locker room scene.
Apt pupil.
No, that's a good guess, though. Good movie. Let's see.
On screen.
How about violence and gore? Yeah. 2 men terrorize and attempt to rape a woman, but one gets shot in the crotch, and the other surrenders. A bit of blood, but not much.
RoboCop 2.
Nope.
RoboCop 1.
Yep. This one says, 2 men terrorize and attempt to rape a woman, but one gets shot in the crotch by a robot. And the other surrenders. I just skip over by a robot.
I have a controversial thing to say about RoboCop Part 1.
Yeah.
Do you remember the movie that well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember.
Can you remember the scene where he's like kind of RoboCop and the guy's like has a jar that he eats food out of? He's like, oh, it tastes like baby food. I'm convinced that that's RoboCop's feces that he's eating.
Oh.
Whereas my friend Matt, I think he might be correct, but he doesn't listen to this, so I'm not going to agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
He says that's just a food he's eating. But if you watch the scene, it's very unclear.
Yeah. I'll have to watch that scene again, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
But yeah, so that's our show for tonight.
Yeah. All right. We will see you next week. Go manscaped.com.
BlueChew.org.
Bluechew.erd erection. No, I couldn't do it. But bluechew.com and mybookie.ag. But we'll see you next week. Bye.
See you next time.